to the Inner Skein Knitting Podcast. My name is Maria and I'm coming to you from the northeastern part of Italy. Today I have a pattern release to share with you, a new sock, a baby sweater, and a few plans for the future, knitting wise, and a bit of sewing. So yeah, I guess we can get started with the pattern release. So I have the first sock there behind me and the second one is here. So these are the Linaria Socks. They are now available, or the pattern I should say is now available on Ravelry and on Page. So you will find the links to that in the description box below. And yeah, I'm very excited because I think I cast this on in November. So quite a few months ago now, and yeah, I'm just very excited now to finally be able to release the pattern. The flower motifs are worked with Estonian inlay, and I will also be publishing at the same time as the pattern release a tutorial for this method. I think it's very fun to work, it's very satisfying in my opinion. I got interrupted by my cat, but what I was saying is that the challenge here is that you are working two motifs on the same sock at once. They're worked in both independently from one another, but it's quite a lot of yarn to manage. So in the pattern I also have tips for yarn management. And the particularity also with this pattern is the heel. So I designed this heel myself, and as I mentioned last time, there was a bit of troubleshooting to do because the one that I designed was suited for higher insteps, so I had to also grade it for a regular instep, which is now available in the pattern. And what else? The yarn that I used is the Woollentwine Ovis for the main color, and I couldn't find the ball band or the yarn band, but this is another skein that I have, so this is what it looks like. And so this is a mix of 50% Cheviot and 50% Jacobs, so it's an all-natural sock yarn by Woollentwine Fibrestudio, and Yuda of Woollentwine Fibrestudio has actually created some kits for this pattern, which is very exciting. So in the kit I think you will get 2 full skeins of the yarn, so technically you could even make 2 pairs of socks if you buy that kit, and a little stitch marker that she made. So yeah, it was very nice of her to create some kits for the pattern. And if you do buy the kit, then you will have a 20% discount on the pattern. So the pattern is not included in the kit, you have to buy it separately. And otherwise, if you're not buying the kits, there will still be a 15% discount for the pattern launch weekend. So probably until Monday night. I will have everything written down here and also all the information written down in the description box below. And I took a few notes just to make sure that I don't forget anything. Yeah, the other thing that I wanted to mention is that for my contrast color, I used the Holst Garn Lucia. So this is a mix of baby alpaca, mulberry silk, merino, and yak. So it's very soft and squishy, it's very nice. But you could also use like a Surrey silk, or you can even double a fingering weight yarn, or you could use a DK weight yarn. Basically anything that is a little bit thicker than 1 strand of fingering on its own, because here I use 2 strands of this, or you can use 2 strands of fingering or 1 strand of DK. You can really get creative with it. I think you could even use maybe like 3 to 4 strands of a silk mohair to get like this kind of fluffy effect. It would look very nice. Yeah, and you can also check the testers versions. They all did a really good job. I'll try to put like a little video on the side of like all the pictures that they shared, that I reshared on Instagram, so you can get inspired. And I think that many of them have also linked their Ravelry projects to the pattern, so you can go check out their projects for even more inspiration. And the other thing is, someone asked if this sock would be suited to modify it for wider calves. So if you have, because most sock patterns that I know of are designed with the same circumference for your foot and your leg, but for many people your leg sometimes is much bigger than your foot. So I know that there are some patterns available that will guide you through that, like how to do these types of modifications to accommodate for that. I did not include it in this one, and this is a type of thing that I wish that I could elaborate a bit more on, and I do have plans in the future maybe to write like blog posts about these types of things. But I mean, I do have a website. It's not up and running though. I should work on that a bit more. But yeah, so eventually, hopefully, I'll have like all these types of resources. But for now, I'll just like walk you through what you can do to modify this sock so that it can fit on wider calves. So basically, it's a cuff down sock. So you're starting at the cuff. So if you have a wider calf, I would recommend to measure your calf, and then with the gauge that you usually get for socks, then you can calculate the circumference that you need for your calves and the number of stitches if you have your gauge, and cast on that number of stitches to fit your calf. And then you knit your ribbing, and once you get here to the floral motif, so the way that the stitches are distributed, it's all laid out in the pattern, but basically your beginning of round is not on the side because of the floral motif. It's like just here. So basically on the back stitches, so I would distribute the stitches for one motif, the front and the other motif normally, and then with the rest of the stitches that you'll be left with, they're going to be at the back here. And as you knit your leg, you could do decreases at the back here. So this is the back, this is the heel. So before the heel, you could decrease here on these two sides to get to the stitch count that you would need at the ankle. And then you can continue to knit your sock normally. So if ever you have questions about how to do this more specifically, just feel free to reach out and I'll be happy to help you. So yeah, I think that's it for the Linaria Socks release. Okay, so I was saying that Lorna of Thread and Yarns reached out to know if I would be interested in collaborating with her on a spring box. So we came up with this little project. Well, she mostly came up with it. She just asked me if I was keen on designing something for that spring box, and I said yes. I was very excited to try her yarns ever since that I discovered her on YouTube. So she also has a channel where she talks about knitting, sewing, and natural dyeing. So she does a lot of natural dyeing with plants that she finds in her surroundings, which I find very impressive. And so yeah, so she wanted to create this box where there's going to be a pattern that I'm going to show you in a second, some yarn that she is going to dye with her beautiful colors that she creates, and there will be, well, I am not gonna go too much into detail because I don't know exactly what I can say for now, but there will be other little goodies. So yeah, I guess I can start with showing you the sock. I already shared it on Instagram if you're following me there, because I had to get the test knit going before leaving on the honeymoon. So this is the sock. So it's again an Estonian inlay motif, this time at the front of the sock. Basically when she reached out to me, I was in an Estonian inlay mood, I guess, because I had just finished knitting my Linaria socks, and She wanted something that we could use a mini for, so a contrasting color with a main color. And yeah, I was just very inspired by what she had in mind, so like blooming of flowers and everything. So it's basically 3 different flowers. So in my mind I wanted to picture something like a motif that shows flowers blooming at different stages. So here at the bottom you have little flowers, and then from here to here it's the same motif repeated of like a bigger flower, and then at the top you have this one. So yeah, I'm very excited, and actually I'll show you my swatch because it ended up turning out quite differently because I had never tried her yarn. And this is a 100% Corriedale sock yarn, and the color, the name of the color set that I have here is Meadowsweet, which is a plant that grows where she lives in the spring. And where was I going with this? I got lost. Yeah, the yarn. It was my first time using this yarn, and it's a bit on the thinner side of a fingering weight, in my opinion, I guess. So I first started to knit the sock on 2.5mm needles, which is the size of needles that I typically use for socks. But one, I think because the yarn is a bit thinner than what I am used to, and also because it's very sleek, like it's very soft and it's like shiny, very, very nice. But because of that, I was struggling to reach like an okay tension, like it wasn't looking great, so I had to go down 1 needle size. And I think like that, combined with the fact that I didn't know how the yarn would behave for the floats here at the front of the work, it meant that like the motif, like basically the yarn blooms very, very beautifully. So it made the flowers look like ginormous compared to what I had swatched. So this was my swatch for the design, and you can see that it's quite different. I mean, I did change the chart for this because when I was knitting this motif with that yarn, it was like disproportionately big. I don't know how to explain it, but I don't know, it just visually did not work as I had intended. So I did change the chart, and I'm actually really happy with how it turned out. I was going for something a bit more like cartoony, like bright spring-like, if that makes any sense. Whereas, for example, the Linaria Socks, the flower motif is a bit more like whimsical, dark, if that makes sense. But yeah, this one is a bit more spring-like. So yeah, so I had to modify a few things once I had the yarn in my hands, but I'm very happy with how it turned out. And just briefly, the construction is basically knit cuff down, where we start with a picot edge that is quite short, but I also offer the option in the pattern to knit some 1x1 ribbing if you prefer, or you could do basically any type of cuff that you want. And then we do the Estonian inlay motif at the front of the leg. It's just a traditional slip stitch heel flap and gusset. And the toe is an anatomical toe. So I have an anatomical toe in one of my designs, in the Bocciolo socks. So that one is knit toe up, but since this one is cuff down, this is my first time doing an anatomical toe in a cuff down sock. And I really like the fit of this toe. I'm thinking it's probably not the best fit for everyone, so this is also the type of thing that you can switch out if you don't like it. So basically it's like designed to give a bit more room for your big toe. So like the big toe sits here and then the smallest toe would be here. So it like tapers off a bit more naturally, in my case anyways. And I have the second sock here. This one is not blocked yet and I still need to do the Kitchener stitch at the toe. But you can see like this, that the toes are different on each sock to really give a nice fit to each of the feet. And yeah, the box, we don't have an official date yet, but it should be around mid-May, should be available around mid-May, as well as the pattern. So let me see if I forgot something. Oh, I had a little bit of an adventure with the first sock because as I was saying, the swatch that I first knit and then the actual like knitting with the yarn, it was yielding some different things, and so I did end up modifying the chart, but I also had to modify the spacing between the flowers. And basically the first time that I started, there was not enough space here, but then I realized, so I added more space here, but then it looked strange because here it was not the same. So I decided to just keep going and to do sock surgery afterwards, which is a crazy idea. I've never done that before and I regret doing that, to be honest. Because at first I thought, oh, I'm just gonna like what is the word? I mean, when you put some of the stitches on a needle here, and then you cut in the middle and then you graft them together. That was my plan. It worked, but I miscalculated, I guess, like where to start grafting it, and so the flower was like not aligned. And then when that happened, I was like, okay, like never mind, I'm just gonna pick up the stitch and knit the other way. So I knit this part of this sock from the bottom up technically, and so it worked out in the end, but it also meant that I had to, instead of doing the Estonian inlay here, I had to come afterwards and embroider it, which is something that you can do also. I guess with an Estonian inlay chart, you could just take the chart and then afterwards go with a tapestry needle and your contrast color and like create the flows like that. But let me just tell you that I don't recommend it. It was very time consuming, much more than just knitting while doing the Estonian inlay. But yeah, so it was a bit of an adventure, but I made it in the end. And yeah, you can see that before blocking, so this is unblocked and this is blocked, so it really blocks really nicely. Yeah, and even the flows at the front with this yarn, they kind of like bloom and like it creates like a halo. I don't know if you can actually see that, but it like the little fibers stick out. It gives a really nice effect, in my opinion. So yeah, these should be available in May. Oh, I forgot to mention what she used to dye the yarn. So the main color, I have the little card that she gave me here, and the main color is dyed with madder with an exhaust bath. So I had like a very light pink in mind, and that's like perfect for what I had in mind. It's very light pink and I think it's very pretty. And the contrast color, just this one, it's like a nice rusty light red, I would say. It's like not exactly, but it also kind of looks like corally pink. I don't know, it's very nice. I don't know how to describe it exactly, but it looks different in different lights and I think it's beautiful. And this one is also dyed with Madder and Gals. So yeah, if you don't already follow her, you can go check out Lorna's YouTube channel and also her Instagram page for more information. Okay, the next thing is the summer top that I have here. I haven't finished it. I'm still missing the other ruffle, so I'm exactly at the same place as last time because I didn't have time to film the tutorials that I wanted to film. But I just wanted to thank you because everyone, well, not everyone, there was a lot of people who were very excited about the top. So yeah, it was very heartwarming to receive those messages, and it motivated me to keep going to write the pattern. And my goal is to send it to tech editing very soon and to have a test call when I'm back from the honeymoon mid-May. So I will probably be posting that here on YouTube, either in a video or in a community post, and also on my Instagram. So stay tuned if you're interested. A lot of people already told me that they are interested to test it. But if you are, please still apply to the Google form, because it's much easier for me to have like all the names and all the emails of everyone and the size they want to knit basically in one, like, because Google form you can generate an Excel document, so everything is there. It's much more easy. Alright, and then I started one of the baby sweaters that I was talking about last time. I think last time I showed the swatch for the striped sweater that I wanted to make, but I decided to start actually with the dinosaur one. So I was saying that I was planning to use the Knitting for Olive, I think it's called just the Dinosaur Sweater, and it's an intarsia sweater with a little T-Rex on the front, but I wanted something a bit more cartoony. So I'm still following that pattern, but I'm not following the chart in the pattern. I basically created my own. And this is what it looks like so far. It's so cute. I don't know how to, because it's like rolling, because it's knit flat. I think you can kind of see it. So yeah, this is like the outline of the dinosaur, and then I'm gonna go in after to like put an eye and a little mouth, and also the little, I don't know how you call them, scales? Maybe not scales, but you know, the little like scallopy things on the back. And then the tail here is going to go to be continued on the arm a little bit. I actually have a little drawing that I made. I want to post it, so this is kind of what it's gonna look like. And I'm using the yarn is the Drops Soft Tweed, and I decided to use this yarn because I had some in stash from, I basically made my husband a hat with the darker, it's like a dark green of this yarn, and then his brother wanted a headband, so I made a headband. So I think I bought like 2 times of that yarn because I was using the leftover to make the headband and didn't have enough, so I bought more, so I still had leftovers. And so I wanted to do the little scallopy details for the dinosaur with that green, so I ended up ordering the same base for the rest of the sweater. But that may have been a mistake because it doesn't say on the ball band, but on the website when I checked, because I didn't know if this was superwash treated or not. So I checked on the website and they say, I don't know if they say that it's not superwash treated, but they do say that it's good for felting. So yeah, that may not be the best for a baby sweater, but I did wash I made a swatch and I washed it in the washing machine, and it did felt, but it didn't like shrink significantly. So I'm hoping it's still gonna be fine. I'm making because for the pattern, the smallest size is a 1-year-old. And since my nephew is going to be born during the summer, then in the winter he's going to be 6-ish months, let's say. So even if the 1-year-old size felt a little bit and gets smaller, then I guess it's fine. We shall see. Well, yeah, it's quite fun. I haven't done a lot of intarsia. I have done, I think, 1 or 2 projects before, but this was the first time in a very long time. And it wasn't bad. I did like a combination of intarsia and stranded colorwork in some places where I didn't want to change the yarn too much. And yeah, I think my tension is not great in some areas, but hopefully it's gonna block out when I block this. Let's see. And yeah, the construction is basically you start with the ribbing at the front flat, then you work all your front back and forth to do the intarsia back and forth, and then you do the neckline shaping, and then you right away work the back, and then I don't know for the rest, I'm assuming you just have to seam everything at the end, add the sleeves, which I will probably be knitting in the round, and the collar or neckband. So yeah, it's a very quick project. I am enjoying it and it's very cute. Okay, and then yeah, the next things are basically just plans knitting wise. Like I said, we are going on our honeymoon very soon. Oh, here. And I was trying to figure out what to bring because we will be gone for 1 month. And I don't want to bring too much stuff, but I still want to have some knitting with me. And also I am assuming I will buy some yarn because, I mean, I didn't say where we are going, and I'm kind of hesitant to share these things on the internet because the internet can be a strange place sometimes, but it should be fine if I say it. But yeah, we are going to Japan, and I have been before for a conference many years ago when I was doing my PhD. And I think I went like 1 month before I started to knit, and ever since I've been itching to go back. I mean, not just to buy yarn, but yeah, yarn and also fabric. They have, I think the textile industry there is very nice. So yeah, I'm excited for that aspect of it, but also obviously for everything else, including the food. But yeah, so yeah, I'm planning to do some yarn shopping and some fabric shopping, so I don't want to fill my suitcase with too many things that I won't need, because also I don't know how much knitting I'll get done. It's always kind of tricky to know, and I always overpack when it comes to all the hobbies. So I'm trying to keep it light, let's say. So I'm planning to bring 1 skein of yarn for a pair of socks and 1 summer top yarn quantity. And yeah, I started to swatch for another design idea that I had, and because basically I had this yarn, it's the Antigone by Rerum Natura. This is the color Fève Tonka. So it's like the super rich brown, it's very nice. Although now that I'm looking at it, it's maybe too close to my hair color. Well, it should still be fine. But yeah, I had 2 of this in stash, and I may have to order 1 more, but let's see. I have a summer top idea for this, and I basically just started to swatch. I did a lazy swatch like this just to get like a rough stitch gauge and row gauge without using too much of the yarn. Have you also done this before? That's sometimes what I do when I'm too lazy to do the full swatch. Yeah, I swatched this because the design idea was originally to be a summer top, but I think it would also look nice as a slipover in a more woolly yarn. So I also have this in stash, the Boska by Rosa Pommel, and I think this one they suggest a 4mm needle, and for the Antigone they suggest 3 to 4mm. And I tried quickly on 4mm and I think it was too loose, like the fabric didn't, like it looked too sheer essentially. But I want to swatch again, or maybe try to see if I can get both at a gauge that I like on 3.75mm needles. We shall see, because I would like to have a sample for the summer and one for the fall. But yeah, let's see how it goes. I'm still in the swatching phase for this, but if it works out how I envision, I might bring this one. And yeah, it's going to be a pretty simple top, but with a cool and fun construction. And I guess that's all I'll say for now, because I'm kind of scared to, well, not scared, but I don't want to talk about the design too much before I know that it's gonna work, because then I overthink things and yeah. So yeah, this is in the plans. This one will probably be coming with me to Japan. And then sock wise, I have a few things that I could bring and I am not sure which one to bring, so maybe you can guide me. Basically, while I was finishing up the Linaria socks and while I was waiting for the yarn for the Fiorita socks, I swatched for a few different sock designs, and now I just don't know which one to move forward with. I'll walk you through both that I have here. Yeah, let's see, and then yeah, I'll start to talk about this one, and then I'll go more into detail about why I think this one may be coming with me. Anyway, so as you can see, it's a toe-up sock, which is not everyone's favorite, but I really like to work a toe-up sock, and I haven't done any in a while. I think that my second and my third sock designs were both toe-up, and then the rest have all been cuffed down. So I think I am due for another toe-up sock design. So this one has little flowers like this. And I find very difficult to, like, when I have something in my mind and I swatch it, a lot of the times when it's like a texture or lace or something like that, it looks really nice on like a flat fabric, but for socks I have to have negative ease. As soon as you stretch it, it looks kind of off. But in this case, I think it's the opposite. Like this, it kind of looks sad, but when you stretch it, the flower really like opens up and you can really see it well, and then there's also some elongated stitches like that. So I think that it works quite nice for a sock. So yeah, this could be an option. I stopped here because I didn't know if I should just like repeat the flower motif all the way up, do something a bit different, like a row of flower, a row of something else. I am not sure. And then I also thought that since this is like quite simple, like it's basically just this flower repeated 3 times here, since it's pretty simple, I could do this as a pattern expansion. Basically, around Christmas time, I released a sock design that is a pattern expansion to a free pattern. So basically I have like a vanilla sock pattern that is free, and then I thought that it would be a good idea to do pattern expansions where it's like, for example, a colorwork motif that is very, very simple, that I can just like put in a separate pattern in a chart and then tell you how to incorporate that into the free vanilla sock pattern. That pattern was kind of a flop. I decided to like price it lower so that, you know, my work would still be rewarded in a way, because it's still a lot of work to do these things. To price it lower, and I also expected people to be interested by that because it's less expensive than like a full pattern, but the opposite actually happened. Like I was barely able to cover the tech editing fees with that pattern launch, which for me, as still a beginner knitwear designer, that's kind of like my benchmark of like if a pattern is successful or not, is whether or not I can cover the tech editing fees. So yeah, basically it didn't perform as I wanted, or as I was expecting, and just because of that, I guess it's like less motivating for me now to make other pattern expansions, because as I said, it's still quite a lot of work, and so if people are just not interested, then I don't want to basically waste my time doing this. And I don't know, I hope this doesn't come off too like negatively, and honestly it's not the type of thing that I lose sleep over. Like I don't make patterns to make money, but in a sense it's also like part of my income, so it does make sense that I care about how much I make on these. I don't know, I could go on with this for a while, but maybe I'll stop here to not bore you to death. But yeah, just to say that if I end up making this pattern like very simple, where it's just this very simple lace motif, then I might also write up a vanilla sock pattern for my toe-up recipe. That would be free, and then this would be the expansion pattern. We shall see. I think I'll just start by knitting this sock and seeing where we go from there. And please tell me if you're interested in these expansion patterns. Yeah, because also like the one that I released, like the first one that I released, was a Christmassy sock. So I can understand why people are not super excited about it. Also, maybe people just didn't like the motif. That's fine too, right? It's very, like I listen to a lot of designers talk about these things online, and I think it's very interesting to talk about it and to hear. So yeah, this was my 2 cents, that basically it's difficult to predict what people will like, and so it's difficult to know what to focus on. Okay, I rambled way too much about that. I am sorry. I'm probably gonna be bringing this with me to Japan. And the yarn that I'm using is Ivy Fiber Co, I believe. I have a ball band here for another skein. Yeah, Ivy Fiber Co is the brand. And yeah, I found her on Instagram, and she was posting about socks that she made with this yarn, which is also a natural sock yarn, so it's 100% merino. And I was quite interested to, and the name of the base is the Meadow Fingering, and I was interested to try this and see how well it wears, because Merino, in my mind, is probably not the most durable of sock yarns for a few different reasons. But if she made socks with this yarn, then maybe it's very good for socks. I don't know. I'm just very much willing to try out these things, so yeah. And I think that this color is Morning Light, and the one that I just showed you is Pollen, so it's like a brighter yellow. This is the more muted, lighter yellow. And yeah, okay, next. The other sock that I started, it's on the floor. The other sock that I started, I was actually very excited about this because I wanted to make a sock that uses like minis or scrap yarns, and that was like basically striped but not striped, so like striped with another like fun element to it. And I came up with this, and it's basically like almost scalloped but not quite. Maybe if you stretch it out it looks a little bit scalloped. And it's done with elongated stitches, so basically like when you knit, when you start with your contrast color, you like knit into a few rows below, so it creates like an overlap between the two different colors. And on my swatch it looked amazing. I was so excited, but then when I cast on the sock I realized that this was not gonna work. Because basically the type of elongated stitches that I was making, you're basically like increasing, in this case I think you're increasing 4 stitches every time you have like this little dip like this. And so it meant that around you, like we were increasing way too many stitches, and so it was all cramped on the needles. It was not fun to work, so I kind of abandoned this one. But it's still in the back of my mind. I want to figure out another way to make this work, because I think it's fun to use, you know, little minis or scraps that you have lying around, and yeah, I think it could be very nice. But yeah, and I don't think I'm gonna be bringing this one with me just because it's a lot of little balls to bring, so yeah. So yeah, I think I will be bringing this, but then I was also thinking of bringing another skein that I could do the just the vanilla sock with, or maybe I'll find something when I'm in Japan. Let's see. Let me know what kind of projects you bring when you travel. It's the first time that I go away for so long, so I'm kind of like lost. I don't know exactly what to bring. And then for the sewing bit, I don't have much to show, but I did cut a pair of pants and I started sewing them, but I didn't make enough progress. But basically I cut a pair of Persephone pants, which I think is my favorite pants pattern. Like, I know that it's gonna fit, and they are very fun to sew because they don't have a side seam. It's like a sailor pant basically, so they're quite quick to sew. And I have, so this is the fabric, this is my pocket. And yeah, I guess I don't have much to show yet, but there's a pair of pants coming soon. And I actually wanted to show you this fabric because I want to make a blouse with it. It's like I don't remember where or when I ordered this, so I don't know what is the fabric composition. I think it's a viscose something because it's quite flowy. It has a lot of drape, and it's like embroidered with these little tiny flowers. So I was thinking of making a blouse, probably something with like very balloony sleeves, but I just can't settle on a pattern. I don't know which one to use. So if you have any recommendations for a pattern for a blouse using this fabric, let me know. And yeah, I think that's it for today. I hope that you are enjoying spring and that you are working on projects that bring you a lot of joy. And I don't think I will have time to film something else before leaving, so I will probably be seeing you at the end of May with or mid-May, with a test call for this top and probably a pattern release for these socks. So yeah, I will see you in a few weeks. Bye bye.